You walk up, ready to make a connection, and within seconds, her interest fades. Her smile dims. She's already pulling away. It's not because you're ugly or you said the wrong thing. It's because she felt it, a weak energy, a lack of spark. Machiavelli called it a fatal mistake, needing her more than you stand your own ground. Attraction isn't born from comfort, it's born from tension. In this guide, I'll show you how to bring the kind of presence that makes her lean in, without chasing or begging. If being nice has ever made you invisible, keep reading. 1. Stop using questions as a crutch. She doesn't lose interest when you run out of things to say. She loses interest the moment she senses a lack of presence. That empty smile, the searching eyes, the way you hand her the weight of the moment and hope she'll carry it for you. Nothing exposes that faster than starting with the same safe questions she's heard 100 times. Consider Evan, a 32-year-old architect. He saw Julia at a rooftop bar, a stunning woman who made him forget the noise around him. He walked over and said, "So, what do you do?" She answered without much thought. He followed with, "Where are you from, and how long have you been here?" To him, it was polite conversation. To her, it felt like a job interview. She'd been here before, with dozens of men leaning in with the same nervous smile, waiting for her to make them interesting. She caught the subtle signs, his shoulders tilted as if begging for approval, his quick chuckle, the pause as he searched for the next question. In less than 2 minutes, her mind was already moving elsewhere. It wasn't about his words, it was about the absence of energy behind them. Machiavelli would have called it a fatal mistake, giving control of the moment to the very person you want to follow you. In the theater of attraction, the man who starts as an interviewer is never cast as the lead. Desire isn't born from collecting facts. It's born from the feeling you create. The move that comes next isn't small talk, it's the one that makes her forget every man before you. He thought curiosity meant asking questions. She saw it as neediness. He believed shining the light on her would make her feel special. She felt the pressure of carrying him. How much of what you call being respectful is really just surrender in disguise? The next time you walk into a conversation, stop opening with questions. Lead with something real. Your observation, your mood, the frame you want her to step into. Set the scene before you invite her into it. When you do, she leans in, not to rescue the conversation, but because she's curious about the world you've already built. 2. Stand your ground, the split-second test. She doesn't turn you down because of your looks. She turns you down because she feels your energy bending toward hers, waiting for approval. That split second when her eyes stop meeting yours, when her smile freezes just enough for you to notice, that's when the game is over. Marcus, a 35-year-old sales manager, was successful on paper, but when he met Claire, his presence told a different story. He met her at a dinner party and asked about her work. The silence that followed felt like a test, and he panicked, filling it with another question, then another. His words were fine, but his delivery betrayed him, hunched shoulders, searching eyes, a soft tone. Claire wasn't listening to his questions, she was reading the man asking them. Was he steady? Would he hold his ground if she disagreed? Or would he fold into whatever shape she preferred? She had her answer in under 2 minutes. It wasn't his resume that made her step back, it was the invisible message in his energy. I need you to like me, or I don't know who I am. Machiavelli would have named it instantly, the man who seeks permission has already given away his power. In the theater of attraction, your presence is the stage, and your words are just props. If the stage shakes, the whole scene falls apart. He thought his kindness was respect. She read it as self-doubt wrapped in manners. He thought letting her steer was charming. She saw a man unsure if he belonged in the driver's seat. Before your next conversation, try this, stand your ground. Shoulders open, voice steady, eyes resting instead of searching. Speak as if your words already have value without waiting for her to give them worth. You'll notice people leaning in, not to rescue you, but to join you. That's when you stop chasing presence and start radiating it. 3. Disagreement is not a threat. The first time she disagrees with you is not a problem, it's a test you didn't know you were taking. Most men fail it instantly by smiling too fast or agreeing too quickly, thinking that smoothing over tension will buy attraction. But the moment you give up your stance, she's not thinking, "What a nice guy." She's wondering if you can hold your ground when it matters. Consider Brian, a 35-year-old who met Hannah at a party. They were talking for 10 minutes when he said, "I like this place. It has that calm after the storm vibe." She tilted her head and said, "I don't really like it. Feels pretentious." That was the moment. Brian's chest tightened. He didn't want friction, so he laughed lightly and replied, "Yeah, I guess it's not that great." It took 3 seconds for her gaze to shift. Cooler. Less engaged. Something invisible had broken. She wasn't testing his opinion about a bar, she was testing whether his presence could survive a ripple. He had just told her, "No, it can't." Machiavelli warned, the man who abandons his position to please another has already declared himself the weaker party. In the silent politics of desire, a small retreat in principle becomes a collapse in perception. Attraction doesn't spark from echoing someone's view. It comes from creating a frame they want to step into. Disagreement handled with calm certainty isn't conflict, it's proof you can carry your own weather into the room. He thought agreement was connection. She read it as surrender. He thought avoiding conflict was maturity. She saw a man afraid to stand on his own ground. Next time she pushes back, don't rush to match her mood. Keep your tone even, your eyes steady, your posture relaxed. Say, "I get that," then hold your original thought. You'll notice her leaning in, not because she suddenly agrees, but because she's curious about a man who doesn't collapse under pressure. 4. Use tension to your advantage. The moment you remove all tension, you remove all memory. Think about it, when was the last time you remembered a conversation that was perfectly polite, perfectly smooth, perfectly safe? You don't. Because safety without spark is forgettable. The same rule that makes a movie scene stick in your head is the one that makes you unforgettable in hers: emotional tension. Take Ethan, a 32-year-old marketer who stuck to safe ground on his second date with Maya. He asked polite questions with no edges. "Do you like the food? Do you like this music?" She answered, but her eyes drifted away sooner each time. He realized he was making her feel nothing. He had a chance to create tension when she talked about a street in her neighborhood, but he let the moment slip. Machiavelli would call this a failure to control the stage. In the theater of desire, emotion is the lighting and tension is the shadow that makes it vivid. When you give only safe, agreeable answers, you turn on all the lights and kill the mood. But when you let a little uncertainty, a little play, and a little challenge hang in the air, you create a space her mind wants to revisit. The man who learns to hold tension without anger or fear stops being just another guy and becomes an experience she replays in her mind. The final step. Attraction isn't built on chasing approval. It's not born from desperate gestures, endless validation seeking, or bending over backwards to win someone's attention. Approval seeking might earn you temporary acknowledgement, but it will never generate lasting desire. True attraction grows when you bring real energy, when you speak from conviction, and when you allow the right kind of tension to breathe between you and the other person. This is not about playing tricks or memorizing lines. It's not about acting like someone you're not just to spark interest. It's about transformation. It's about becoming a man whose very presence shifts the energy in the room. A man whose world is so rich, so centered, and so alive, that others naturally want to step into it. The man who embodies this doesn't fold under pressure. He doesn't fumble when challenged. He doesn't crumble when ignored. Instead, he remains grounded, anchored like a mountain against the storm. His words carry clarity, precision, and conviction. His silence speaks louder than the noise of the crowd. That kind of man isn't just noticed in passing. He is remembered long after he's gone. His energy lingers, his presence echoes, his absence is felt. Such a man is not only respected, he is desired. Because desire, at its deepest level, is drawn not to the superficial, but to the essence of strength, mystery, and authenticity. And this brings us to the final step. Step 1, stop performing for approval. The first and most crucial realization is this: when you live to please others, you diminish yourself. Every time you sacrifice your truth for validation, you hand away pieces of your soul. Approval chasing turns men into hollow actors, smiling when they want to frown, agreeing when they disagree, pretending confidence when insecurity is gnawing at them. But here's the truth: approval that must be begged for is never real approval. Respect that comes from submission is not true respect. Desire that must be coaxed and chased is weak and short-lived. To stop performing for approval, you must reclaim your inner authority. You must be willing to walk away from situations that demand your compromise. You must choose self-respect over temporary validation, even if that means enduring loneliness in the short term. Because in the long run, the man who respects himself commands respect from others. Step 2, build inner strength. Attraction begins from within. It's not about your clothes, your money, or your charm. Those things can enhance attraction, yes, but they are not the foundation. The foundation is inner strength. Inner strength is built in silence, in discipline, in struggle. It's forged in the gym when your body screams to quit, but you push one more rep. It's honed in solitude when you resist the urge for constant distraction, and instead sit with your thoughts until they bend to your will. It's tested in life's trials, financial setbacks, betrayals, failures, that could break you, but instead refine you. A man with inner strength doesn't panic when things fall apart. He doesn't react wildly when tested. He doesn't beg when ignored. He knows that his value is not up for negotiation, because it rests on something no one else can give or take away: mastery of himself. Step 3, speak with clarity. Words matter. But more than words, it is the energy behind them that creates impact. A weak man uses many words to say very little. A strong man can use few words and change the entire atmosphere. Clarity is not just about speaking well, it's about speaking truth. It's about refusing to dilute your message for fear of rejection. It's about saying what you mean, and meaning what you say. When you speak with clarity, people listen. Not because you're louder, but because you're real. Because there's no hesitation in your voice. Because your words are not a performance, they're a reflection of a man who knows himself. Step 4, let silence carry weight. One of the most underrated tools of a powerful man is silence. Most people fill silence with nervous chatter. They fear it. They run from it. But silence, when mastered, becomes a weapon. Silence creates tension. It forces others to sit with themselves. It communicates that you are comfortable with your own presence and don't need to perform. A man whose silence carries weight doesn't need to constantly prove himself. His stillness speaks. His restraint builds curiosity. His refusal to react immediately under pressure communicates strength that words could never match. Step 5. Own the space you walk into. The final step is ownership. Not ownership of others, not domination by force, but ownership of yourself in every environment. When you walk into a room, you don't shrink. You don't scan for approval. You don't contort yourself to fit in. Instead, you expand. You breathe deeply. You ground yourself. You carry your energy like a king carries his crown, not to show off, but because it belongs there. Owning space doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean barking orders or demanding attention. It means being fully present, fully alive, and unapologetically yourself. It means moving with intention, speaking with purpose, and standing with unshakable posture. When you own the space you walk into, you don't need to chase. You don't need to perform. You don't need to beg. The world adapts to you. The paradox of mastery. Here is the paradox: the moment you master yourself, you'll never need to chase anyone. Because attraction will come to you. Respect will come to you. Opportunities will come to you. Why? Because in a world full of noise, desperation, and distraction, the man who is centered, grounded, and silent stands out. He becomes a lighthouse in the storm. He becomes a fire in the cold. He becomes rare, and what is rare is always desired. When you stop performing for approval and start owning your presence, you stop competing. You stop chasing. You stop begging. And in doing so, you rise above the crowd. The man who is remembered. Think about the men in history who left a mark. They were not the ones who begged for approval. They were not the ones who blended in, who spoke only when safe, who folded under pressure. They were the men who stood firm, who spoke with conviction, who let silence thunder louder than noise. Julius Caesar didn't conquer by asking permission. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome by seeking validation. Alexander the Great didn't lead men by apologizing for his ambition. In every age, the man who is remembered is the man who embodies mastery of self. And you have the same choice today. The final step is you. The final step is not about tricks, lines, or tactics. It's not about manipulation. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. The final step is you. You becoming the man you were always meant to be. You refusing to fold when tested. You speaking with clarity and living with conviction. You letting your silence build tension and your presence demand respect. You owning the space you walk into, not with arrogance, but with undeniable authenticity. When you take this step, you stop chasing approval and start radiating energy. You stop performing and start living. You stop needing and start choosing. And in that moment, attraction ceases to be a game. It becomes a natural byproduct of who you are. Conclusion: walk as a master. Attraction is not built on tricks. Respect is not earned through begging. Desire is not created by performance. Attraction is built on energy. Respect is earned through strength. Desire is ignited by authenticity. The final step is simple, but it is not easy. It requires you to master yourself, to discipline your mind, control your emotions, refine your energy, and embody your truth. When you do this, you will never again chase approval.